Hello everybody, Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor, and recap a guy's review. As you guys know, whenever there's breaking news and important information to discuss in Bachelor Nation, I like to do a specific voicemail video for that topic. So we've got tons of voicemails to get through. This is regarding the Matt James situation, which was broke by Reality Steve. And if you aren't familiar with this situation, you got to go back one video and watch this. Matt James became the ultimate villain within Bachelor Nation overnight, really quickly actually, after an interview that Reality Steve did with a lady named Grace. And God, I tell you, Grace got together and started talking with Rachael Kirkconnell, and they found out that he was trying to see Grace just a day or two before he was flying Rachael to New York, and their stories confirmed that he was leaking to the press that he wasn't that into Rachael, when in fact he was pleading to get back with her for weeks on end. So we'll have to see what the truth is, and we'll have to see what you guys think of this whole scenario. So let's jump right into the voicemails. If the quality of any of these voicemails is bad, I'm just going to have to dump it and move on to the next one. Lots to talk about. Let's jump right in.
Hey, Dave, this is Charlotte, a.k.a. Chi-Chi, from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Hi, Charlotte.
Gosh, what a scoop you have here with Reality Steve and Rachael and Matt and Grace. Oh, my God, I'm only 6.5 minutes in, and I'm hanging on every word. Can't wait to see the rest of it. What a scoop, Dave. You did good.
Well, thanks. I have to tell you, I have nothing, and I mean nothing to do with breaking this story. I am just a friendly reality Steve consumer, so I was reacting to his story. But yeah, it's been a blast to and follow this. Not in a way where like you love. I mean, it's just like a car crash. You can't help but watch. You're like, geez, I can't believe this is going
down. Hey, this is Chris calling from LA. I don't know. This whole thing with Matt is pretty fascinating. It's kind of crazy how many people are involved in his relationship. I mean, I know he's on TV and all, but that part kind of trips me out a little bit. Especially with Reality Steve doing this whole expose or whatever you want to call it. But, live and learn, and it's a crappy way to do it on national TV. All right, man. Keep up the good work. Take care.
Thank you so much, Chris from LA calling in. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so that's two calls for Matt James. Let's do a Matt James to Rachael Kirkconnell spectrum. So we're going to see how many people are on Matt James' side versus Rachael Kirkconnell's side. I think for the most part, people, look, I do want to hear what Matt has to say about the issue, because we've heard from his sources. Now we've heard from Rachael's sources. Reality Steve doesn't bat 1,000, but for the most part, he gets a lot of his stories right. So we're really going to have to see what the next statements are, and if there'll be more interviews about it, or if everyone's just going to move on. Or does Rachael go back with Matt after finding this out?
This is Margie. I'm calling from Tennessee to leave a comment about Matt James. I think it's just so basically wrong and hypocritical, all that he judged, and that's what it was, judgment. All he judged Rachael for, Manuel tried to cover that in after the final rose. Someone you love, see as your wife, see as mother of your kids, but you're not willing to help them grow and grow with them and teach them. And then to do now this two-timing crap, he's definitely lost all my respect.
Well, thank you so much, Colin from Tennessee, saying it's two-timing crap from Matt James. Okay, absolutely. Grace in DC. Ooh, we have a Grace. We have a Grace calling from DC, and I have to tell you, if you guys don't mind, I just want to, for those that aren't familiar with the story, so after Reality Steve has talked about this random lady named Grace in Florida who came out saying, he was just contacting me yesterday, so he's kind of being slimy, whatever he's doing. At the very least, he might have been a single guy, but he's being a little slimy. People fell in love with Grace. Everybody loved Grace. Let me tell you something. I wanted to do a tribute, if you guys don't mind, to the amazing Grace in Florida, because everyone in Bachelor Nation said, give Rachael Kirkconnell some grace. And little do we know that she resided in Florida. Grace under fire, folks. This Grace isn't under fire. Everybody loved Grace. No hate for Grace. You know why? Because she came forward and she said, look, Rachel is not the bad guy. Matt's not even the bad guy. I just wanted to share my story. She got on the phone with Rachael Kirkconnell. They didn't fight with each other. They just got down to the truth. And that's what it's all about. So shout out to Grace Amerling, professional equestrian. She's good at riding horses, and she's good at calling out baloney. All right, let's get back into it.
And grace,
All right.
my fears relieved.
Let's go to Gigi in Harlem.
My name is Gigi. I am calling from Harlem, New York.
Harlem, what
I
up?
just want to say, I'm a Bay Area girl, but I'm just living out here for school.
Okay.
I just want to say that if more graces existed in our world, y'all men would stop doing the shit that you do. And I can so clearly know the rain has come. Okay, but for real, like, what I think is that, I don't know, this is not a shocker. I honestly think it's funny that, like, yes, he just got caught in what most singleness lifestyles do. Single people do this all the time. And yes, he got caught, and, like, I kind of think it's funny that he's, I don't know. I just think it's funny that, yes, he got caught, and I hope he learns from this. I hope the whole male species learns from this. And that, you know what, we all got to just be more like...
Oh, I lost you. Geez, sorry about that. You were on a roll here.
Wish there was a platform where we could expose everything, and everything would be out on the open, you know? All right, thank you. Bye.
All right, Gigi says we need more people like Grace. So that's a vote for Grace. More people like Grace. And she said it'd be great if there was some transparent way where everyone could call each other out. Look, she's right. Matt James is single. He didn't do anything illegal. But if we were painted a narrative where Rachel was fighting to get him back, and then he was also reciprocating and be like, come on, let these rumors die down. And if Matt James was keeping his relationship with Rachel on the DL and telling Rachel it's because we don't want people to know about us, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, he was messing around. That's not looking good for him. Now the question's going to be, will any other women come forward? Because that'll seal the fate. All right, next voicemail. Oh, let's go to Brianna, our good friend Brianna. We love Brianna.
Hi, Dave. It's Brianna from Santa Cruz calling.
How are you?
And I just finished watching your videos covering the explosive drama revolving Matt James and Rachel and this new player, Grace. Basically just, blew the lid off his entire story.
Blew the lid
and
off.
Wow. Yeah, Reality Steve looked like he was both, like, about to poop his pants and, like, piss himself in excitement because he was just, like, so nervous and excited at the same time because he didn't know what Grace was going to say.
Yeah.
But anyways, what a story. I'm curious what Matt's going to say, but I'm also even more curious what Rachel is going to say. She seems to have been so poised and so, kind of not wanting to rock the boat, so to say, this far. So I'm curious to know whether or not she's going to, go against him, or if she's going to stay quiet, or what her camp is going to come out with. Oh, wow. I just don't even know what to think anymore. And I wonder if he's going to try and, drag Grace under the mud and try and say, she's not credible or whatnot. I feel like that's just going to do him in worse. And, there's probably going to be receipts and screenshots that'll come up, and it'll look really bad for him. So curious to hear your thoughts. Keep up the great work. Talk soon.
Yeah, I'm assuming the receipts are valid. I haven't looked at them, but you have to understand somebody has. And Reality Steve, if he has this story wrong, he loses all of his credibility. So he's got a lot on the line, too, to make sure that he gets this right. As far as Matt James discrediting Grace, I don't think that's going to happen. We've got a professional equestrian. I mean, this is someone who's, she's got a LinkedIn page. I don't know if you're going to discredit it. Not to say that you can't discredit someone with a LinkedIn page, but I think she came off pretty credible. She wasn't looking for anything. She deleted her Instagram, probably just on the short term because she didn't want any creeps following her like me, guilty as charged. Sorry, Grace. Show me some grace as I try to like one of your photos. But anyway, let's just keep on going here. Thank you so much for calling Brianna. She said, we blew the lid off of it, and we sure did.
Hey, Dave, this is Cammie calling from California.
Hey,
and I
Cammie.
want to let you know I just watched everything, and Matt is a hot mess, and Rachel can do so much better. So much better. God's done you a huge favor. Rachel, just go on and move on, girl. You deserve better. Thanks, Dave. Love your show. Bye.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your call. You know, I got accused by actually by several different people of being super conservative because I was willing to give Rachael Kirkconnell a chance. Obviously, we wanted to address all the ways in which she has made wrong turns in her past. But has anybody come out looking better from this type of situation? Could the view of her have changed any more in the last 3 months, 2 months, even 1 month? It's just incredible. Rachael has grace. She really does have grace from all we've seen, from the way she handles the paparazzi that are following her, from the way she's handled herself in her Instagram TV and hanging out with her friends. I mean, I don't want to be duped like anybody else here. I've got trust issues after this whole scenario too, but it seems like she's trying the best with the information she has. Pretty crazy stuff, isn't it, folks?
Hey, Dave. This is Chrissy from Atlanta.
Hey, Chrissy.
I was about to go to bed, and I saw that you had a new video up, and oh my gosh, my mind is blown.
Yeah.
This is some crazy stuff, and it looks like it's going to be a sizzling summer. Can't wait to see your new video tomorrow. Bye.
Well, thank you so much, Chrissy. I appreciate you calling in. A sizzling summer indeed. Right down the list. Let's keep on going. You guys are killing
Hi,
it.
Dave. I'm calling back because my message was way too long. Calling from New York again.
I deleted the first one.
About the Matt and Rachel situation. First off, I really enjoyed watching Matt's season. I really like him as a person. He's probably really cool. Him and Tyler seem really fun, but they're definitely like, you know, young, trying to party. And I'm not surprised if they're juggling multiple women or, you know, keeping things casual. But I think it's very interesting that there's been this sort of perception of them, and especially Tyler, where they're kind of this sort of perfect notebook style boyfriend material. And it's always kind of struck me that it's so interesting that because they've just never gotten involved in any sort of serious scandal within Bachelor Nation in terms of like major messy breakup or an engagement, because even Matt didn't propose. I think it's very interesting that they've never actually had that sort of fallout. So this is kind of the first time that has a potential for making them kind of a real villain rather than being like the Prince Charming type. Anyways, keep doing the amazing work you do. Bye.
Now, I'm not going to be one who clumps Tyler with the Matt James situation, because you can, but I do see your point. I appreciate your call, but I do understand the delicate area of someone who's like, look, I've been a guy in my 20s dating different people, and the problem is you don't try to cover things up. You try to say, hey, this is where I'm at. I'm seeing different people. I think women and men should see different people until something sticks. I think you should just be honest with what you're doing. You don't want to be running around because, I mean, look, like for my young friends out there that don't understand the reference, Mrs. Doubtfire is about a man played by Robin Williams, and he gets a divorce from Sally Field. We love Sally Field, right? And they get divorced, and after they get divorced, he's not allowed to see the kids, so he wants to see them more. So he takes up a personal ad to be the housekeeper for Sally Fields, and he dresses up as Mrs. Doubtfire, some old British lady. And of course, I included Chris Harrison back there. And I have the wrong photo. I had a different photo with Grace in the background too. Oh, geez, I really messed it up there. Anyway, folks, so yeah, let's just keep on going. But it's the two-timing part. We have a friend in Texas that I don't always agree with, but I always appreciate when she calls. So let's go with Karen.
Yeah, this is Karen from Huntsville. I feel so sorry for Rachel. Oh my God, getting burnt like that, and then this other girl, Grace, and it's so awful. Matt is nothing but a gigolo, a idiot. He's worse than Juan Pablo. He's the worst bachelor on Bachelor Nation. I can't stand him, and I hope he gets his just desserts, which it looks like it's the start of.
Oh, I lost you there. Sorry, Karen. Sorry. Okay, here we go. Keep going.
God bless Rachel, and God bless Grace. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
God bless Rachel. God bless Grace, and God bless Karen of the United States of America. Because let me tell you something. All right. Well, thank you so much, Karen, for calling in. I appreciate you calling Matt James a gigolo. Well, we don't know for sure whether or not Matt James was selling his body at prostituting it, but if he were, then he would be a gigolo. But I do understand your reference.
Hi, Dave. It's Laureen from Central New York.
Hi, Laureen.
I just watched your episode on what's going on with Grace.
There's Grace right there.
And Rachel and Matt, and I am very disappointed. I really looked up to Matt. I looked up to Rachel, too. I thought they were both good people, just with normal everyday problems that white people and black people come across in each other, because we're not done yet.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I am disappointed. I'm really upset that he turned out to be a player, because he didn't come off that way. But anyway, boo hiss. Love your show. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Laureen from Central New York. Yeah, I mean, look, he was just being a player. He was being a player. Maybe he thought he was owed this because of how badly the season went. Like maybe, look, I like to try to defend Matt James. I do. I want to see the other side. So I go, what could have made Matt James want to do this? Because in the end, we still don't know exactly why Matt James was calling Grace in Florida. We really don't. You can say that it's slimy, probably is, but was he so removed from ever having been in a relationship that he was so ignorant to think that this was a bad idea? Or, did he think he could get away with it? Or his motivation's more sinister? Like, I'm going to get mine. I had to deal with all this BS. It's wrecked my brain, this and that. I'm stressed out. F it, whatever. Was that the mindset? It doesn't make it right, but I could see that. I could see us sort of forgiving Matt if he goes, you know what, I ruined it. I ruined a great shot at love. I had bad people in my head I was listening to, and I traded a lifetime of happiness for what I wanted, which was a moment of pleasure. Like, maybe that's the route he goes.
Bernice from Toronto. I was just looking at Reality Steve and with Grace from Florida with the situation with Matt James. The Bachelor franchise need to do a better investigation with these guys before they come. Matt was never part of the Bachelor franchise. He just got in because of Cameron and Hannah Brown, and they didn't pick Matt James, who was part of the franchise. Matt James is doing exactly what Peter Krause did on Rachel, the first Black Bachelorette. When Rachel did not pick Peter, the whole of the Bachelor franchise views her out, cuss her out. She's the worst person. But Rachel is the smartest bachelorette to have there, and she's going to be the most successful. She gets blamed for everything. But if you listen to Rachel, she's an intelligent woman, and she knew very well that Peter was not going to work. So she picked Brian, and they're happily married. And Matt James needs to pull his socks up. He's doing exactly what his father did. Bye.
Well, thank you so much for the call. We are going to get several calls. I haven't screened these, but I read the texting of them. We are going to get several calls of people that are sharing the same sort of thing. Like Matt James did exactly what his father did. I don't believe that's the case. I don't believe it's fair to compare someone to their father. We only know what they showed us about his relationship with his father. So I understand the sentiment. He's just like his father. We don't know. His father went through a very unique set of circumstances. Matt James is going through a very unique set of circumstances. I mean, like we have to feel compassion for what he's going through in the moment too. I know that's hard to do. I know we like to get our pitchforks out and go, now we're team Rachael Kirkconnell, F Matt James, and I understand it. But he's still a human too. I'd hate to find out that he, spiraled into a very dark place because of this. I think there is a place where he can learn from this mistake and try to move on with his life.
Hi, Dave. This is Cheryl calling from Toronto.
Hi, Cheryl.
And I just watched your video about the whole Matt James situation with Grace and Rachel. I'm sure I'm sure he's not going to be a fan favorite after this starts to unfold. I was going through the comments actually on your video, and there is one comment that really stuck out to me, and I think this is the exact situation. So I don't want to take any credit for this. It was from a Nikki P who wrote this, and she said, Matt is Ross Geller from Friends. Quote, we were on a break. To Rachel K, a.k.a. Rachel Green. And I think this is exactly how it's unfolding in his head. And he's making all these even though he's making all these claims.
Oh, I lost you. Sorry. So you think he's Ross Keller?
So saying, I love you and I do want to get back together with you.
There it is.
I think in his head, they're still not together, so he can do whatever he wants. That's what I think of that. And you know what? I just have to say, I don't know. Isn't this such a stupid thing to have happened? I mean, here you are. You're this massive figure in the public now. How can you do something like this and think everything is gonna unfold okay? It's not. Anyway, I feel bad for Rachel, and I hope that she ends up doing okay after all of this.
Oh, she'll be fine.
And basically, yeah, those are my thoughts. Thanks so much. Bye.
Well, thank you so much. Now, listen, Rachel's going to be totally fine because while in a normal case you'd be heartbroken, she's already had to deal with the dismantling of her own character by the national media. And I'm not saying it was, I think we all agree this pendulum may have swung farther because, look, this is just she goes from an unknown to being so hated, and she seems like she wants to be liked. And she's made her amends and she's doing the work as it's put. And what else can we expect from somebody at this point? I think she'll be fine. I think the adversity she faced a couple months ago was way worse than this. And I actually think finding this out might be that kind of shackle that you need to break free from, where she goes, "Oh, Matt's not a great guy." It's like in anything. Whenever you find out someone to find out someone's cheated on you, it's worse probably, I would think, than to find out that they just didn't love you. It's like, okay, you know what? F you. You know what I mean? I think you can go with that motivation and cut the cords quicker. I don't know, maybe not.
Hi, Dave. This is Jessica from Florida,
Hey, Jessica.
and I'm just watching the video, listening to this Grace person talk about Rachel, and it's what happens if Rachel did not want this to come out at all? It does not mean they're over. I mean, any woman could say, you could be upset at the moment and not want to be with Matt, but there's many women that stay around. These are issues that a lot of people experience. Some men actually, want to do better, and they try and they work out relationships. So I think this was kind of grimy that Grace went up online, on live, just like that, didn't care. Let's go live right now. I want to clarify it. I think the fact that she didn't just reach out to Rachel, you reached out to Reality Steve and put this everywhere. I don't know. It don't sit right. I mean, I'm not talking about Matt. Obviously, the choices he makes wasn't good or is not good, and whatever Rachel wants to do with that. But I'm talking about the Grace situation, the Rachel situation. I don't know. All right, that's it.
Jessica
Hopefully
from Florida.
It makes sense. Bye.
You do make sense, Jessica, and I appreciate your phone call. You do have to suspect, why did Grace reach out to Reality Steve? Maybe initially Grace didn't want anything to do with this whole scandal, but she wanted to warn Rachel, so she figured, I'll reach out to Reality Steve. He can get in touch with Rachel, whatever. Maybe that was the case. I'm not sure. As we've seen so far with Grace, she's deleted her Instagram. She didn't try to promote anything when she was on the podcast with him. So by not trying to monetize this in any way whatsoever so far, you kind of almost have to believe her. Maybe she was naive to think of how big of a story this would be, but I think she just wanted the truth to come out. But thank you so much for the phone call. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dave. This is Terry, and I'm calling from Kirkland, Washington.
Hello, Terry.
I just listened to the cast, and bottom line, he's an asshole. And bottom line, what he's trying to do is just protect his Black image, that Black, he happens to be a good guy, which he's not. And that's what he's trying to do now, just to pedal backwards and protect that image of being a good guy. Now that there's so much media news in regards to Black and how perfect Nat should be, but isn't. And I'm so glad that this actually has been shown. Okay, bye. Love your show. Love you. You're great.
Well, thank you for the call. I am just another human, but I appreciate your call. I am not going to get into the can of worms, talking about race as it's involved with all this. But I will say this: I personally can't relate to what Matt must go through as a biracial man trying to live his life through whatever biases and worldview he has, but also represent people, because that's what you do when you go on the show. This is the Olympics of dating. You're representing people on the show. You've got Abigail, one of the first hard of hearing. I think you would consider her deaf. I know she's not. Whatever. You've got different people that come on the show, and it's it was marketed as the first Black Bachelor. So whatever tremendous weight was on his shoulders, I can't understand what that's like. You know what I mean? It has to factor in, just like everything we do factors into our decisions. Does that mean that it's okay? No, of course not. But what's the explanation? Talk to us, Matt.
Hi, Dave. This is Andy from California, Los Angeles. I was just watching your video about Matt and Grace and Rachel. You really had me fooled. Like, at first I saw the previews and I was like, well, he looks like a player. But then I saw the season, or the beginning of the season, and I was like, well, with his prayers and stuff, like, maybe he's not. But turns out I was wrong. My intuition is broken.
Andy says, my intuition is broken. He had me fooled. Thank you so much for that call. Very nice call. Thank you so much. That's a funny line.
Hi. I just wanted to say that I'm making a comment on the Bachelor Steve story. And this is the one thing that I wanted to say that everybody seems to be forgetting. Matt is a 29-year-old man with fame. Yeah. And a single man. And he's having his cake and eating it too. And that's what guys do in his position, period. And also something else that stood out to me in the interview is that Steve said that he's been begging to get Rachel back for weeks. Then why aren't they already back together? Why did he have to beg for weeks and they're still not back together? That doesn't make any sense to me, because Rachel appeared to not want to break up in the first place. So it doesn't follow that he would be begging to get back together with her. And then another thing that struck me in this whole thing is like, he's making a big deal about him purchasing a ticket. It's not like he blew his savings on a ticket.
Wow, that's not the point.
He's a single man, and it's not a big deal that he paid for her ticket. So that just says that he wanted to see her. For what? More than likely a booty call. And then the only truth that I saw in this whole thing is what Grace said. Grace's story rang true to me. Matt's story, however, did not. I don't know Matt's side of the story, I think, and we don't know Rachel's side of the story. Everything else seems to be coming from publicists, Matt's publicist and Rachel's publicist. And of course, Matt's going to try to cover his ass. That's what he's going to do, of course. And then another thing that I think is clear with all of this is that Matt was trying to get laid. Whether it's Grace, Rachel, both, whatever, he's still a single man that's 29 years old.
Yeah, so I'm going to cut you off there. Thank you so much for the phone call. You're right. He was a single guy, and it's like, no one's accusing him of doing anything illegal. It's just the idea that we watched this all play out on TV where he couldn't hug Rachel. He says she's got to figure this out on her own, and then to find out that he had been talking to her every day since then. It's like, good, we want you to talk to her, but what's going on with the Grace thing? You take the Grace thing out of the situation. I think we've got a little relationship on our hand. And I think people are upset because they've seen this happen before. I mean, like I said, when I lived in New York in my 20s, when I being single, you just don't set the expectation up with someone. We've all been there where someone's like, I'd like to take our relationship to like the next level. And it's like, I'm just not there right now. Okay, well, if you're not there right now, trying to convince you to get there is a bad idea. You need to want to be there. And if he doesn't want to be there, better late than never that Rachel found that out. And are we all wrong? Will we hear Matt's side of the story? I hope we'll hear Matt's side of the story. Let's go to Kristen in my home state of Rhode Island.
Hi, Dave. It's Kristen from Rhode Island. Can we please admit now that Matt is sketchy? I called him sketchy from the beginning, and, people were like, you're being too critical. He's been going through a lot. His words have not matched his actions from the beginning. When Rachel was first caught doing the racist stuff, he's like, oh yeah, she's got to be careful what she posts on Instagram. Then 4 or 5 weeks later, all of a sudden, he's super upset about it and can't be with her. And he needs to be with someone who understands his blackness. Now we find out he's dating two women who are both white, by the way, and will never understand his blackness. So I'm
going to pause you. He wasn't dating Grace, and he didn't see her on Sunday. He had previously casually dated Grace. And all the news sites are saying it was his ex-girlfriend. I mean, are we calling it an ex-girlfriend or someone he used to hook up with?
Not meet his words, okay? He said on the After the Final Rose, I need to be with someone who understands my blackness, understands what it's like to be a black man in America. Guess what? No white woman on the planet is ever going to understand that. And now, after the show, he's two-timing two white women. So does he really want someone who understands his blackness? Doesn't seem like it, not by his actions, because he's continuing to try to date white women, and not only one, but two of them. So, like I said, he has shown that he's been sketchy from the start. I'm not saying he's a horrible person. I'm not saying he doesn't have any right to be offended by what he saw. Like, of course he does. But like I said, your personal opinion doesn't just change on a dime like that. So he, from the beginning, has been sketchy, and he's trying to craft some type of image. I don't think he's going to be able to spin this to recover at all. You dumped Rachael on national TV, told her that she doesn't understand your struggle and what it's like to be black, and then you get off the show, you try to date her again and another white girl. Not making much sense to me.
Thanks so much, Kristen from Rhode Island. Not making much sense indeed, but if he's guilty of anything, it's two-timing some women and trying to get some booty, or he's completely misunderstood. He made a faux pas reaching out to Grace, and he needs redemption. That's an option too, folks. We're not hearing many people say that.
Hey, Dave. Courtney in South Carolina again.
Hi, Courtney.
So, give Rachael some grace indeed.
We sure did.
So many of us thought that Matt was an F-boy, and he is not proving us wrong. And I really enjoyed the fact that when Grace talked to Reality Steve, she didn't, she was very supportive of Rachael, and it looks like Matt is the one who is in the hot water now. Be careful who you bang, indeed. Courtney out.
Now listen, if we've learned anything from Courtney over the years, it is
be careful who you bang.
That you got to be careful who you bang, because Matt might have made the wrong choice by going to Grace and trying to get back with her. I mean, we really don't know. Maybe he just wanted to stay friends with, with Grace. I'm sure there's a joke in there where we can make about writing something, but I'm not going to make it. You know me. It's a Sunday. Let's go to Pam in Florida. A lot of calls from Florida.
Dave, this is Pam in Florida.
Hi, Pam.
I left you a voicemail, and I told you I'm cutting the crap. I'm not cutting the crap, Karen. But I'm looking at your show, and now I see Matt James may have been playing Rachael. Okay. Don't go after even a half black man if you don't know how black men are. I believe, and you see Matt's type, white.
I love Pam, by the way.
He wants to be white. He just happened to be the darker of the two brothers. His mama is white. He told us all that. Now here's another girl. One, he's still single, and the other girl is single, and Rachael is single. So they can sleep around if they want to. She needs to go find her a nice white guy, because she ain't going to make it with a black man. I think Matt is half black. I believe he'll cheat like a black man. Look at his father. But I keep saying, this is my thing with this whole thing. Can we be done with them and move on to the next show? As it is, we're not going to have another black Bachelor for at least another 10 years.
No.
Because of this mess. Can we cut the crap, Dave, and move on to somebody else's life? Who cares who Matt goes with at this point? Who cares? Some of these men have 2 and 3 women. His father's from Africa. They have 3 and 4 wives. All right, cut the crap, Dave, and tell Reality Steve to move on to somebody else's life. Who cares?
Pam in Florida, everybody. I love you, Pam. You could tell that Pam was like emotionally out of breath from dealing with this. She's like, and I love it, by the way, she's like, this is ridiculous. Liz, I think there'll be another Black Bachelor within 3 seasons. And I do want, the next guy that runs through the Bachelorette cycle, whether it's Mike Johnson or someone we haven't met yet, if they're a good person, let's get them on the show, because we do want to find love, and it can exist. It's just that Matt's 29. He's finding his own celebrity, and it's a bad combination. It makes you wonder, is it easier to do the Bachelorette circuit where you get a little bit of fame, then you date around, and then like after a year of being like Blake in, Palm Springs or whatever, where you're just,
be careful
be
who you
careful
bang.
and, bumping Harrys all over the place, then you want to settle down. Would that have been the case? I'm not sure, but maybe it was too much too soon.
Dave, this is Shay from St. Louis.
Hey, Shay, how are you?
I want to comment on the Matt Billings video that you did. What the soap opera is going on between Matt and Grace and Rachel K? I'm like, what Gossip Girl drama episode of Bachelor Nation did we fall into?
Shay, you're funny.
I'm rewatching the video because I'm trying to make sure I sync up this timeline, but I definitely want to know what everyone else has to say about this. And I don't know, I'm here for Grace and that random Instagram interview she did with Steve. So I guess it's just going to keep coming. We're going to keep seeing what's going to be the fallout from this. And I guess Matt will have some answers he's going to have to give us.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Y'all have a good weekend. Bye.
Shay, you're so funny. She goes, what the soap opera is going on? And I think that's the question we all want to know. Great way to put it, Shay.
Hi, Dave. This is Monique from Jamaica. I am a huge Bachelor Nation fan, even though I think I'm getting too old for this bull crap right now. However, what's happening with Matt and Rachel and all of those things, it doesn't excuse what she did back then and what might be really ingratiated in her system. I haven't listened to you for probably a few days now because, trust me, my gosh, you're busy. However, what's happening now, this great girl, more power to women for coming together, standing up for each other, and outing players. However, I'm a little bit skeptical about her actually going live. Her live face could have remained anonymous, in my opinion. She could have given her story, reached out to Rachel, all the other parts of it, but not actually go live. So I'm actually side-eyeing her a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, Monique.
Keep doing good work.
Thank you so much. Beautiful voice. Love your accent. Monique in Jamaica. Very nice. Thank you for the call. Yeah, we don't know why she wanted to go live. I bet you Reality Steve gets a ton of people that call in and say he's making up sources and this and that. So to hear from Grace really triangulates the epicenter of this story. Let's go to Jeff in Tampa.
Hey, Dave. It's Jess from Tampa.
Jess.
I'm watching the Grace Reality Steve show right now, and I think Grace is the bomb for doing what she did, and kudos to Reality Steve for scooping it. So I do want to point out, I saw some other comments where people are saying this is why we shouldn't have had Matt and stuff like that. So I just want to point out, in case anybody jumps on it, that this is not because Matt is a black man. I don't want anybody to jump on that. But anyway, I'm watching you post posted right now, Grace, for Bachelor in Paradise. So sure. And great job scooping this, and have a great night. Talk to you later.
Here's what's going to have to happen, Grace. You're either going to have to keep your Instagram deleted. Someone called, my alarm's going off. Oh, it's time to wake up. By the way, it's 8 a.m. on a Sunday. I accidentally woke up a couple hours early because I set my alarm for the wrong time. So here we are, been up for a couple hours Sunday morning. Dave never sleeps. I figured, if I'm going to stay up awake just scrolling through my comments in bed, I might as well listen to your guys' amazing voicemails here. But very interesting stuff. Why don't we get Grace on Bachelor in Paradise? You can't Google her name without finding 15 different articles now. So if you're going to find a bunch of the articles, we might as well just get her on Bachelor in Paradise, find her some love, and then she can continue her life as a professional equestrian.
Hey, Dave, Neal. We're big fans. We love your show. Take care, and have a good one.
Oh, thanks so much. That's just a nice call. I appreciate the compliment. Let's go to the sheriff.
Hi, this is the sheriff here. That's the most crazy story I've ever heard. You gotta wonder how many other girls that Matt tried to get on the show that he previously hooked up with. It's just craziness. I never heard such a crazy story in all my years watching The Bachelor. Probably watched The Bachelor for 20 years now. So it's just crazy, and I hope her friends, Rachel's friends on the Bachelor, are helping her. And Grace for Bachelorette, Grace for Bachelor in Paradise. And I hope Rachel also goes on VIP, but I don't think she will. Okay, thanks everyone. And Sheriff is out. Okay,
the
bye.
Sheriff is out. Thank you so much, Sheriff. Calling in the moderator, the Sheriff Oz from Canada. Listen, I think Rachel. She has a few months. If she's over and done with respect to if she's over and done with what's his face over here, Matt James. I already forgot his name. Then it makes you wonder, like, does she have will she be able to recover from this relationship in time for Bachelor in Paradise? We kind of want to see a redemption story here with Rachel. It would be nice to see, it would be nice for her to just meet some random bloke under a cabana. So why not,
Oh my God, Dave. I don't even know where to start right now.
Me neither.
I have so many mixed feelings about Matt right now. It's like actually insane. On one hand, I feel like something really traumatizing must have happened for him to kind of act up like this, and that there's absolutely no way he could be playing these girls. Because it's just on him. Because of the very little we got to know of him, he seemed like a very kind of aware of himself kind of guy who was just a total mush inside and who just loved people unconditionally. But on the other hand, you never really know someone, do you?
You never do.
From reading what I watched, before I watched your video, I read the recap for BatchStation.scoop because they recapped his live stream, reality stage live stream. I have so many mixed feelings, like I just said, and I kind of do have a question for you. How do you feel about Grace? I kind of got a good vibe from her, and do you think we may see her on Paradise and possibly Rachel now that kind of all this has come to light? And Rachel really isn't as much of a quote-unquote villain as people are perceiving her in the media. I know this may have been a little all over the place. And I guess just for my last thing to say, I know that despite all the people out there that are going to criticize you and name you as this politically or that politically, there's so many people out there, including myself, that do support you and appreciate you for all that you do and wouldn't care what you identified as politically, because you really do a great job of hearing everybody out. Bye.
Thank you so much for the call. It's so funny that my politics have gotten into all these videos. I think most people understand my progressive values, but how funny. I started doing a joke on stage, a stand-up joke about having a face that needs a trigger warning because I look like I got Mitt Romney's haircut. You know what I mean? So like because of being called conservative because of how I look, and because, the other person says, well, it's obvious to see why you're considered conservative, Dave. You play all these conservative voicemails. And I'm thinking Bachelor Nation is probably a direct reflection of the demographics, which is split left and right, straight down the center. I mean, we always have an election where the winner wins 50.2 to 49.8 or whatever it may be. It's always a 1 million or 2 million vote swing within a 300 plus million vote demographic. So it's always funny to me when people think I play more conservative voicemails than it's like I go down the list until we're done here. I don't watch these beforehand. So it blows my mind. But here I am, folks. Let's go to Missy.
Hello, Dave. This is Missy, and I'm calling from the Bedford, Texas area.
Hi, Missy.
And so basically, my what I would like to share with you is my biggest concern is that as an African American person, I feel like when Matt was on the reunion, well, I'm sorry, not the reunion, but the one with the guy and everything from conversations
After
with
the final rose.
Black, uncomfortable conversations with a black guy. I apologize, I forget his name right now. But he just made it seem like, he was very pro African American and really concerned about that aspect. And I just get feelings of, I just feel like that he chose people specifically. And I feel like maybe he would not have chosen African American women because I think it would have taken possible different routes and everything. But I just feel that fame can make people, or somewhat after the fame can make people, but I think the real person does really come out in this, to be really honest. But I feel like he is really playing the African American community. He played these young ladies, and that really is my statement. Thank you so much.
Missy from Texas. Thank you so much for the phone call. I really appreciate your phone call, Missy. Love the name Missy. Missy from Texas. Love it. Yeah, it makes you wonder, like we all use the tools that we have to survive. So did he grow up surviving kind of like, again, I'm not a psychologist, I don't know, but you look at Taylor Nolan, and she grew up sending herself one way and then sending herself another way, and in the end, she's just trying to survive in a very complicated world. Has Matt James done that, not let people too close to his heart? In which case, I do sympathize and feel bad for Matt if that may be the case. In the end, he needs therapy, don't we all? You know what I mean? Don't we all? Brittany in Canada.
Hey, Dave, this is Brittany from Toronto, Canada. I've been watching your content for a while. I wanted to say I love it. It's great. Always makes my day. I just watched your video about Matt James and all the stuff going down with Rachael and Grace. I wanted to provide maybe like a devil's advocate opinion.
Please.
Just because while I do think that Matt definitely was not ready for marriage, not ready to go on the show to find someone to be in a committed relationship with, and he does need to do a lot of work internally on himself. I do think that because he and Rachael were not back together, he was single at the time. It's kind of a gray area for me. I find that if you're not decided 100% on whether or not you're going to be in a committed relationship with someone per se, and I know Reality Steve was saying sources were saying that he was really trying to get back into a committed relationship, but I think if you yourself deep down are not really sure if that's what you want, even if that's what you're saying to the other person, it's hard. It's hard to know, like if you say actually want to be in the relationship or not. So this is getting a little long, I guess, but I think I'm just trying to maybe be the devil's advocate in the sense that perhaps as someone who is single, who is not yet in a committed relationship, who may, in fact, internally not be 100% sure, despite saying, hey, this is what I want to be with you, I want to be with you. It could be that kind of thing where you're kind of just unsure and you're testing things out. And because you're not in a committed relationship, in fact, then there is that gray area. I'm not saying what he did is by any means okay in terms of sort of lying to people afterwards, in terms of what Reality Steve was saying. And like you said before, reiterating that I definitely don't think he was ready for marriage going on the show. But just here throwing out sort of devil's advocate opinion in terms of this gray area as someone who is single and not yet in a committed relationship. Okay, that's all for now. Thanks. Bye.
Listen, Brittany mentioned 3 times. Oh, my alarm's going off. Brittany mentioned 3 times she's single. So if any guys want to write in, or gals, I don't know your preference there, Brittany, let's get Brittany on some Canadian Bachelor in Paradise, if you know what I mean. Thank you so much for the call, Brittany. Talking about the gray area. Look, as we know, when it came to Blake and Kaylin shared her side of the story, and then Blake released these text messages to show that Kaylin was the one begging to date him, and he was kind of like the guy that was like trying to tell her like, no, we're not hanging out, and she's like, I'm in an Uber, I'm coming over. So we understand that Matt James could drop 1 or 2 text messages that clearly lay out to Rachael that he doesn't want to date her, but he's willing to see her, so I'm going to fly you a ticket so we can break up properly. That might have happened. If it did, Grace wouldn't know, and maybe Reality Steve might not know. A lot of people are assuming Reality Steve's source within Rachel's camp may actually be Rachael herself. Rachael communicates with people on social media. She needs to be able to get her point out without it being said from her, because it's all about image. And I don't even mean that in some bad way. If something comes from Rachael Steve, it's easier to have someone else defend you than it is for you to defend yourself, because her image has been just like smeared through the mud, and maybe she wanted to get her side of the story.
Hey, Neal, this is Angel Brown calling from Illinois. I saw the Grace Rachael Matt story with Reality Steve. Shame on Matt. Grace and Rachel, move on. Just move on. Bye.
There it is, folks. I'm keeping track. We've got 16 people, Rachel K, 1 from Matt James, and then there's a few in the gray area there as well, but it's overwhelmingly that people are not happy. And you have to imagine that, my audience with the Bachelor videos are 90% female. Everyone's been scorned, men and women, but this feels like a two-timing incident to
Dave,
people.
this is Joanna. I'm from New Jersey. Hey, turns out Matt James is just like his dad after all.
Oh, we
it's
don't
so
know
sad.
that.
I feel sorry for Rachel, but love that Grace.
I just have to say, and like I said it before, I knew we'd get a few of these calls, but we don't know if he's like his dad. His dad has his own struggles, and Matt James has his own struggles. Yes, I'm sure he's from, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, but everyone's got their own struggles. So I don't want to go saying he's just like it. It'd be like, I didn't have a relationship with my father. I met him when I was 20. It's very complicated. But if anyone was ever like, you're just like your dad, I'd be like, really? Like, that doesn't feel like the way my mom raised me. But thank you for judging me that way. But we really don't know more about the story.
Hey, Dave. This is Pam from Florida.
2 more after this.
Black woman. Talked to you, left you a couple messages. It's Saturday evening, and it's around 6 o'clock in Florida. I think the Eastern time. Wanted to just say this.
We love you, Pam.
I turn my TV on. I turn on YouTube, and here we go. Another Matt James Bachelor story. Real quick. From the black side. Matt was not our pick for the first Black Bachelor.
Oh, I lost you there. Oh, boy. Sorry there. Sorry. Let's go back to that. I think you were somewhere like right there.
Told you at the beginning his mama was white and that he pretty much was identifying white. His friends are white. Tyler, his really close buddy, is white. He told us by talking to Chris Harrison about what if I pick the wrong person? Will I piss off the black people? Will I piss off the white people when I am white too? That's what he said.
So Pam, I'm gonna cut you off there for time because you already had a phone call, but I really appreciate you calling in. And you've made your point that he's not the Bachelor a lot of people in the black community had wanted. And by coming out of nowhere, by not having been on the show before, he really was a true wild card. The season itself, you can't blame Matt for how a lot of it played out. But maybe the editors didn't have that deep of a storyline. Maybe Matt didn't let some of the other women in, so you wonder if they had to go with a more dramatic storyline. I'm really not sure. It's hard to sort of untangle these Christmas lights right now.
Hi, this is Tina from Michigan, and Matt is one hot mess. That's all I got. He's a player. He is a player. Thanks. Bye.
One hot mess, says Tina from Michigan. In our final voicemail, I hope we end on a high note here. Let's go to Anonymous.
Hey, Dave. It's Anonymous from the East Coast. I want to say I'm a fan, and I also want to say I find it so endearing that you're shocked by this Matt news. I never liked him, and I feel really bad for Rachel. And this is coming from somebody who's black. I think like this is beyond race and whatever else. So, yep, that's just my 2 cents, and Matt's going to see his karma. Bye.
Thank you so much for the phone call. And that's it, unless we have any last minute ones that come in. This was our last voicemail regarding the topic. But, it does make you wonder. There's a lot of questions. Let's go to Matt's Instagram right now. I think he hasn't addressed anything, but it does make you wonder. Like, Matt's not a terrible guy, folks. We need to remember that. He's just a guy who's 29, who's probably made some mistakes. He doesn't know how to love, which when you don't know how to love someone else, it means you're not loving yourself on the inside. It doesn't mean you can't be single and dating around and all that. You can love yourself and be dating around, absolutely. But he just doesn't have his feet underneath him. Everyone kind of matures at a different pace. Maybe the fame, maybe the quarantine, maybe all these opportunities. You just don't know kind of where someone's coming from. So as of 3 hours ago, he's Thank God for another day. That's what he says. Thank God for another day. I think we can agree on that. Matt's centering himself as a Christian. I'm not going to go say that. Nice kind of camera angle, straight down the pipe between that leg gap right there. Love a good leg gap, right? So let's see. Is this his last? Yeah, that was his last one, right? So he has lost at least 14,000 followers, which is way more than I have. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, we don't really know. I'm going to cut this video off. So before we get any longer, we don't really know the full story. And as I say with other issues, when we don't know the full story, we can't make like concrete judgments, but we can definitely, this is like when we see smoke on the horizon, we can bet that there's a wildfire over there, but maybe someone's just having a barbecue. We really don't know. So could Matt James, will he be forced to release screenshots that sort of prove that he wasn't two-timing? That could be the case. It could be that the only thing Matt James is guilty of is trying to get a former friend with benefits to his table. Maybe the table's got 40 people. Maybe it's maybe it's one of those influencer events where you're at a big nightclub, you need to get all these people, and then everyone goes, but Dave, he's got 986,000 followers. Why doesn't he just ask anyone to come party with him? And it's like, all right, imagine if Matt James was like, hey, who wants to come party with me? I need hot chicks to come to my table. Because I believe that's what the scenario is I'm sure he gets paid. They're like, hey, come to our club. We'll give you $10,000 or we'll give you $10,000 worth of drinks. You got to have, you can bring 4 guys and 12 girls. This happens. This, I don't know if you guys know how nightclubs work, but if you're like in New York City or LA or Miami and you're a couple of guys, you're not just getting into the nightclub. You need to be there and for it to order the table, it's like the premier service. I don't know what the deal is. If he's really in love with Rachael, does he want to be at a nightclub anyway? Is it part of his income? If he's like, look, I donate to charity, I do all these things, but at the same time, I use my leverage as an influencer, and maybe he's like, look, and again, I'm making this all up just as a hypothetical. I'm not defending him. I'm just saying we don't know. But what if he's like, yeah, the nightclub paid me $40,000 to make an appearance, and I tried to get people there to fulfill my end of the bargain, and I donated that money to St. Jude's. I'm not saying this is what happened, but I'm saying I don't know what happened. Some of your funny comments are, what the soap opera is going on? Blew the lid off. Better background work. One hot mess. Ross from Friends. We were on a break. Grimy for Grace to not just reach out to Rachael. He had me fooled. My intuition is broken. Let's see what you guys think. We're going to have a very busy week. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button below. I'm losing my voice. Make sure you hit the like button below. It helps the YouTube algorithm. Leave a comment. And if you aren't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. It's crazy to me how many people aren't subscribed to my content, but YouTube will show you my videos anyway. In the end, it doesn't matter if you're subscribed or not, but when I do hit 100,000 subscribers, I get the little verification check mark, and I get a nice little plaque that comes with it. And don't we all want a little trophy or a plaque? Anyway, shout out to myself for making this Mrs. Doubtfire poster last night. I have to say, it's not my greatest work ever, and I left the Matilda girl and this guy in there and Sally Fields, but Chris Harrison's poking through because, boy, who won out more in this scenario than Chris Harrison? Should we show him some grace? Are we ready for that? Thank you so much, everyone out there. Have a blessed Sunday. Don't forget to call your moms, and I'm so excited. I may become an uncle today. I'm so excited. It's going to be a beautiful day. Bye, everybody.